Hello and welcome. It's good that you're here. Wherever you are tonight, you can let the day be over now. It did what it could. You did what you could. And whatever is unfinished will keep until morning. It always does. Tonight, we are going to spend some slow, quiet time with 10 of the oldest sentences in the world. The 10 Commandments. 10 words spoken from a mountain a very long time ago to people who had just been set free. You may have heard them 100 times. That's all right. We are not here to study tonight. We are here to rest inside them, the way you rest inside an old house that has held your family for generations. The walls are strong. They were built with love. Nothing is required of you here. So make yourself comfortable. Let your shoulders come down away from your ears. Let your hands rest. Let the bed hold your whole weight, all of it. You don't have to carry anything right now. And please hear this before we begin. You don't need to remember any of what follows. You don't need to stay awake for the good parts. Every part is a good part, and the story will keep going without you, gently, all the way to the end. If you drift, drift. That is the whole idea. Sleep is not an interruption of this story. Sleep is where this story has been leading all along. All right, let's begin at the mountain. And one more thing before we go. If tonight finds you anxious or grieving or simply worn thin, you are in the right place. These old words were first spoken to exhausted people, people who had been carrying too much for too long. They were built for the tired. They have been holding up the weary for 3,500 years, and they are not going to buckle tonight. Picture a wide desert plain in the evening light. Tents, thousands of tents, spread out like quiet flocks across the valley floor. Cooking fires glowing here and there, small and warm. Children being called in. Sheep settling. And rising over it all, an enormous mountain, dark against the first stars. This is Sinai, and the people camped at its feet are the children of Israel, 3 months walked out of Egypt, 3 months free. For 400 years, their lives had not been their own. In Egypt, they made bricks. Bricks from morning to night. Bricks by quota. Bricks under a sun that did not care about them, for a king who did not know their names. But God knew their names, and God had brought them out with a strong hand, past every power Egypt trusted, through the sea itself, which stood up in walls and let them walk through on dry ground. Now the running was over. They were camped in a wide, safe place, and the mountain above them was wrapped in cloud. And out of that cloud, God began to speak. Here is the first thing to notice, and it is the gentlest thing of all. Before God gave a single command, He introduced Himself, and He did it by pointing at the rescue. "I am the Lord your God," He said, "who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Before any word about what they should do, a word about what He had already done. The commandments do not begin with do, they begin with done. That order matters, and it never changes, anywhere in the whole Bible. The people were not handed a ladder and told, "Climb this, and then I will free you." They were freed first, carried out first, loved first, and then, 3 months down the road, gathered at a mountain and given the words. The old teachers used to say it this way: "These are the house rules of an already rescued family." Not the entrance exam. The house rules. You are already inside the house. And so the first word comes, resting on that foundation. "You shall have no other gods before me." In Egypt, there had been a god for everything. A god of the river, a god of the sun, a god of the harvest, a god of the storm, a whole crowded committee of powers to bargain with, and you could never be sure you had pleased them all. It was a tiring way to live. It is always a tiring way to live. And the first word closes that whole anxious marketplace. One God, not the strongest among rivals, the only one, the same one who carried you out of Egypt, the same one who knows your name. You do not have to divide your trust into 100 small accounts anymore. You can put it all in one place, and the place is safe. The old shepherd Moses stood at the front of the people that day, listening. He had learned this lesson across a whole long lifetime, in a palace, in a desert, at a bush that burned and was not consumed. One God is enough. One God has always been enough. Down among the tents, the evening settles. A mother banks the fire. An old man, born a slave, sits in his doorway and watches the mountain glow, and lets himself believe, a little more than yesterday, that no one is coming to count his bricks in the morning. Egypt is far behind them now, farther every day, sinking below the horizon of memory like a shoreline. And the thing about the first word, the thing that reaches all the way to your bedside tonight, is that it was spoken to exactly these people. Not to heroes, to tired people, Learning how to be free. Done before do. It is worth saying twice, slowly, because everything else rests on it. Rescued first, then taught. Carried first, then called. Loved first, always first, before a single expectation was ever spoken. That is the order of this God, from the first page to the last. And it is the order of this night. You are not earning your rest right now. It was already given. Some of the people in those tents could still remember their last morning in Egypt, if they let themselves. The hurry, the unleavened bread, the door with its dark mark, the first steps out into a freedom too large to understand. And now, only 3 months later, here was freedom's true shape, revealing itself slowly, like a landscape at dawn. Not merely the absence of Pharaoh, but the presence of God. Not just out of Egypt, but into belonging. They had been slaves of a kingdom. They were becoming children of a house. It takes longer than 3 months to learn that, in truth, it takes a lifetime. And every peaceful night's sleep is one more lesson in it, including this one, including yours. Some of the people in those tents could still remember their last morning in Egypt, if they let themselves. The hurry, the unleavened bread, the door with its dark mark, the first steps out into a freedom too large to understand. And now, only 3 months later, here was freedom's true shape, revealing itself slowly, like a landscape at dawn. Not merely the absence of Pharaoh, but the presence of God. Not just out of Egypt, but into belonging. They had been slaves of a kingdom. They were becoming children of a house. It takes longer than 3 months to learn that, in truth, it takes a lifetime. And every peaceful night's sleep is one more lesson in it, including this one, including yours. And for you, tonight, the first word asks nothing of you at all. It only offers. There is one place to set down all your trust, the way you have set down your body on this bed. You can stop holding the 100 small worries as if each one were a god that needed managing. There is one God, and He is the kind who rescues first and speaks second. Let's hear the words themselves now, read slowly. You can let them wash past you. There will be nothing to catch. From the book of Exodus, chapter 20. God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. And from Psalm 62, the psalm of quiet trust. My soul rests in God alone. My salvation is from Him. He alone is my rock, my salvation, and my fortress. I will never be greatly shaken. My soul, wait in silence for God alone, for my expectation is from Him. Trust in Him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us. My soul, wait in silence for God alone, for my expectation is from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor is with God. The rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. Psalm 62. So this is where the 10 words begin. A rescue already finished. A God who introduces himself by what he has done. And a first word that is really an invitation. One place for all your trust. If you are still listening, that's lovely. If you are drifting, that's lovelier still. The mountain isn't going anywhere. The next word is about the God you cannot see, and it is just as kind as the first. The second word, at first hearing, sounds much like the first. You shall not make for yourselves an idol, nor any image of anything in the heavens above, or the earth beneath. You shall not bow down to them. But it is its own word, with its own gentleness in it. The first word says, "Worship the one true God." The second says, "And let him stay as big as he really is." Here is what the people at the mountain would have remembered. Every nation around them carved its gods, stone gods, wooden gods, gold gods, gods you could see and touch and carry from room to room. There was a comfort in that. A God small enough to carry. But a God small enough to carry is also small enough to drop, small enough to lose, small enough, in the end, to be exactly as strong as the person holding it, and no stronger. And the God of Israel would not be carved, because he would not be shrunk, not out of pride, out of love. Because a shrunken God cannot carry anyone. When Moses spoke to the people about that day, many years later, he reminded them of something they had all noticed. "You heard the voice of words," he said, "but you saw no form, only a voice." God came to them as speech, as presence, as fire and cloud. but never as a shape they could put on a shelf. He wanted to be known the way a friend is known, by his words and his ways and his faithfulness over long years, not the way a statue is known. And there is a quiet promise folded inside the second word, right where you might not expect it. God calls himself jealous there, and the word can sound hard until you hear what kind of jealousy it is. It is the loyalty of a marriage. It is a love that is not indifferent, a love that stays, a love that minds. A God who did not care could be shared out among 100 idols and never notice. This God notices. You matter to him the way a beloved matters, not the way a customer does. And then the arithmetic of that same verse, which the old teachers love to point out. Consequences, the text says, reach to the third and fourth generation. But loving kindness reaches to thousands of generations of those who love him. 3 or 4 against thousands. Judgment has a horizon, a place where it stops. Mercy just keeps going, over the hills and out of sight. So tonight, you don't need a picture of God to rest in him. You have something better than a picture. You have a voice and a track record and a love that stays. The God who cannot be carved is the God who cannot be lost. He does not sit on a shelf in your house. He holds the house. Think of how you know the people you love best, not mainly by sight. A child, half asleep in a dark room, hears a footstep in the hall and knows, without opening her eyes, exactly who is coming. She knows the voice before the door opens. She has heard it every night of her life, and the voice has never once meant her harm. That is how Israel was invited to know God, by voice, by years, by promises made, and then slowly, patiently kept. No statue can be known that way because a statue has no voice and keeps no promises and never comes down the hall in the dark to check on anyone. The second word is not God hiding from his people. It is God refusing to be less than he is, so that his people would never have less than everything. And so tonight, in your own dark room, you are not resting near an image of God. You are resting near God, the real one, the one with the voice and the track record, the one whose footstep in the hall, if you could hear it, would sound like every good thing that has ever quietly held you up. And if you should want an image after all, the scriptures do offer one, the only one they ever endorse. Step outside, they say, on a clear night, and look up. The heavens declare the glory of God, not a carving, a sky, not something we made of him, something he made, uncountable stars, hung in a dark so vast it humbles every empire that ever carved an idol, and every one of those stars called by name, by the same voice that spoke 10 quiet words from a mountain. That is the size of the one keeping watch over your small, warm room tonight. The room is small. The watch is not. And if you should want an image after all, the scriptures do offer one, the only one they ever endorse. Step outside, they say, on a clear night, and look up. The heavens declare the glory of God, not a carving, a sky, not something we made of him, something he made, uncountable stars, hung in a dark so vast it humbles every empire that ever carved an idol, And every one of those stars called by name, by the same voice that spoke 10 quiet words from a mountain. That is the size of the one keeping watch over your small, warm room tonight. The room is small. The watch is not. The words themselves now, slowly. From Exodus chapter 20. You shall not make for yourselves an idol, nor any image of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow yourself down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, showing loving kindness to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. And now Psalm 121, the Psalm for the night watch. This is the one to fall asleep inside. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your soul. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in, from this time forward and forevermore. Psalm 121. So the second word, resting on the first. One God, and no small copies of him. A God known by voice and by faithfulness. Too big to carve, too loyal to leave. He who keeps you will not slumber, which means, very simply, that someone is on watch tonight, and it does not have to be you. You can sleep, he doesn't. The third word is about a name. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Most of us were taught this as a rule about our words, about not using God's name carelessly. And it does mean that. Words matter, and holy words matter most. But underneath the English, the Old Hebrew says something wider and warmer. The word translated take really means to lift or to carry. Do not carry the name for nothing. Do not lift it up empty. In the ancient world, to carry someone's name was to belong to them and to represent them. A servant carried his master's name into the marketplace. A child carried the family name into the village. And Israel, this little nation of freed brickmakers, had been given the name of the Lord to carry into the whole world. It was not a burden. It was an honor, the way a lantern is an honor to the one who carries it through the dark. They even wore it, in a way. The high priest of Israel, when he served, wore a plate of pure gold across his forehead, and engraved on it were the words, "Holy to the Lord," the name worn on a human being, where everyone could see it. And when the priests blessed the people, God said something beautiful about that blessing. "So they shall put my name on the children of Israel," he said, "and I will bless them." The name was not just to be spoken carefully. It was placed on people, gently, like a hand on a head. It is still placed on people. If you belong to Him, you carry the name too, and you carry it whether you are strong that day or tired, eloquent or silent. And here is the kindness in the third word. It is not asking you to perform. It is only asking you not to carry the name and mean nothing by it. And the surest way to mean something by it is simply to stay near the one it belongs to. The way you are doing right now, tonight, in the dark, with nothing to prove. There is an old blessing that the priests spoke over the people, the one that placed the name on them. We will hear it in a moment, and you can receive it as your own, because it was always meant to travel. It has been spoken over tired people at the end of long days for 3,500 years. Tonight, it lands on you. Think about how names are given in this world, almost always at the beginning, and almost always in love. Parents lean over something small and new and sleeping, and they give it the best word they have. A name is the first gift most of us ever receive, and we receive it asleep, doing nothing, earning nothing, simply being loved. That is how God's name rests on His people. Given, not achieved. Placed on them, the Scriptures say, the way a blessing is placed, the way a hand is laid gently on a bowed head. And a name given in love is never carried alone. The one who gave it stays close to it, keeps an eye on it, answers when it is called. So the third word, heard rightly at this hour, is not a warning ringing in the dark. It is nearer to this. You have been named. You are known by name, the way the stars are. The Scriptures say He counts the stars and calls them all by their names, and He does not lose track of any of them, and He has never once lost track of you. In the villages of Israel, in the years after Sinai, you could hear the third word being honored every evening, though no one would have called it that. It was just mothers at doorways at dusk, calling children home by name. Just neighbors greeting neighbors at the well, each name spoken plainly, each name an entire person. A name, spoken with love, is one of the oldest sounds of home there is. And somewhere beneath all those small callings, the scriptures say, runs the Great One, a God who calls his people by name, at the dusk of every one of their days, and means by it exactly what a mother means. Come home now. You've been out long enough. Supper is on. In the villages of Israel, in the years after Sinai, you could hear the third word being honored every evening, though no one would have called it that. It was just mothers at doorways at dusk, calling children home by name. Just neighbors greeting neighbors at the well, each name spoken plainly, each name an entire person. A name, spoken with love, is one of the oldest sounds of home there is. And somewhere beneath all those small callings, the scriptures say, runs the Great One, a God who calls his people by name, at the dusk of every one of their days, and means by it exactly what a mother means. Come home now. You've been out long enough. Supper is on. From Exodus chapter 20. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who misuses his name. From Psalm 8. Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have ordained. What is man that you think of him? What is the Son of Man that you care for him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and crowned him with glory and honor. Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. And now the blessing itself from the book of Numbers chapter 6, the oldest blessing in the world. Let it be for you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his face toward you and give you peace. So the third word, resting on the two before it, one God, no small copies, and a name carried gently, placed on his people like a blessing, because it is one. The moon and the stars outside your window tonight are the work of his fingers, and he thinks of you. That is the whole teaching. You can let it be enough. And now we come to the fourth word. And of all 10, this is the one that was written for tonight. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. Notice how it begins. Remember. It is the only commandment that starts that way, as if God knew from the very beginning which of the 10 his people would be most tempted to forget. Not the dramatic ones, the restful one. Think about who first heard this word. Slaves, people who had just walked out of 400 years of slavery. In Egypt, no one had ever said the word rest to them. Not once, not in 4 centuries. In Egypt, their worth was their output, bricks per day. And when Pharaoh grew angry, he did not lessen the load. He took away the straw and kept the quota. That was the whole religion of Egypt, really. Beneath all its temples, you are what you produce. And into that deep old wound, God spoke a command that must have sounded like a dream. One day in 7, everybody stops. You stop. Your children stop. Your servants stop. Your animals stop. Even the stranger inside your gates stops. Rest in Israel was not going to be a luxury for the few. It was a command for everyone, protected by heaven itself. The most sweeping labor law in the ancient world, and it was written for the tired. And the reason God gave is even lovelier than the rule. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. God rested. Not because he was weary, God does not grow weary, but because the work was good, and stopping is how you say so. Rest was built into the world before anything ever went wrong with the world. It is not a patch. It is part of the original design, woven into the rhythm of everything, evening and morning, tide and season, your own breath, in and out, slowing now. God even taught this lesson with food before he ever carved it in stone. Out in the wilderness, when the manna fell each morning, the people were told to gather a double portion on the 6th day, because on the 7th none would fall. And it was so. The bread itself kept Sabbath. Provision came ahead of the rest, so that the rest would feel safe. That is always his way. He does not command you to rest, and then leave you unprovided. He provides, and then he says, "Now stop. Now sleep." And when Moses repeated these words to a new generation, years later, he gave the command a second reason, and it may be the tenderest sentence in the whole law. "Remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt," he said, "and the Lord your God brought you out. You shall rest, because you once could not." Every Sabbath, every real rest, is an anniversary of freedom, tonight included. So hear the fourth word as it was always meant to be heard, not as a rule pressing down, but as a permission slip, signed by the Maker of heaven and earth. You are allowed to stop. You are commanded to stop, which is stronger than allowed. The quota is not king anymore. It never really was. Your day is done. The bricks, whatever your bricks were today, are counted and finished, and none of them are following you here. This is the border of Egypt, right here at the edge of your bed, and you have already crossed it. Picture the first Sabbath evening Israel ever kept, out there in the wilderness, the strangest evening of their lives. The sun going down and nobody working. Tools lying where they were set down, honorably idle. Whole families sitting together in the doorways of their tents with nothing in their hands, watching the light turn gold, then amber, then deep blue, learning hour by hour the enormous lesson that the world goes on being held up even when they stop holding it. The stars came out on schedule. The manna was already promised for the morning after. Nothing fell apart. Nothing has ever fallen apart because someone kept Sabbath. It only ever feels that way beforehand to people who have not yet tried it. And notice how deep the rhythm goes. Evening and morning, the first pages of Scripture say, evening first, day beginning with rest, beginning with sleep, so that we start every day of our lives with hours of receiving before a single hour of doing. The tide goes out and comes in. The seasons lie fallow and then flower. Your own breath, right now, does it. Out and then in, given back every time, thousands of times a night, without your help. Rest is not the pause between the real things. Rest is one of the real things. It was built in from the very beginning, and it was built in for you. There would come to be in Israel a whole beloved choreography around that seventh evening. The best bread of the week, baked ahead. The table set with more care. 2 lamps lit as the sun went down, and the light of them on faces gathered close, work-worn hands finally still. The week's words giving way to slower ones. Outside, the fields lay untouched and unworried. And in house after house, the same discovery, made new every seventh day, that the sweetest hours of the week were the ones in which nothing was produced at all, only received, only shared, only kept. That discovery is still available. You are, in a small way, making it right now. There would come to be in Israel a whole beloved choreography around that seventh evening. The best bread of the week baked ahead. The table set with more care. 2 lamps lit as the sun went down, and the light of them on faces gathered close, work-worn hands finally still, the week's words giving way to slower ones. Outside, the fields lay untouched and unworried. And in house after house, the same discovery, made new every seventh day, that the sweetest hours of the week were the ones in which nothing was produced at all, only received, only shared, only kept. That discovery is still available. You are, in a small way, making it right now. From Exodus chapter 20. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You shall labor 6 days and do all your work. But the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. From Psalm 127. It is vain for you to rise up early, to stay up late, eating the bread of toil. For he gives sleep to his loved ones. From Psalm 4, the evening psalm. Answer me when I call, God of my righteousness. Give me relief from my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness. Put your trust in the Lord. You have put gladness in my heart, more than when their grain and their new wine are increased. And from Psalm 4, the evening psalm, the last verse, the one made for this exact moment. In peace I will both lay myself down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me live in safety. Psalm 4, verse 8. So the fourth word, the word for tonight. Rest was God's idea. It came before the fall, it was commanded for the weary, and it is kept safe by the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. He gives sleep to his loved ones. You are one of them, and this, right now, is him giving it. We are about halfway through the 10 words now. There is no hurry at all. If you are still awake, that is completely all right. Some nights the mind takes longer to set its load down, and the load was probably heavy today. You don't have to force anything. Just listen, or half listen, and let the words move past you like slow water. And if you have been drifting in and out and you've lost the thread, there was never a thread to lose. Each word stands on its own, like stones across a stream, and you can step onto any one of them at any time. The mountain is still there. The tents are still spread across the valley. Their fires burned down to embers now. The people of Israel are sleeping their first free sleeps in 400 years, under a sky thick with stars, kept by the keeper who does not sleep. The next words are about the people beside us, family and neighbors, and the gentle guarding of what we love. We'll walk through them slowly. With the fifth word, the commandments turn gently from our life with God to our life with each other, and they begin, of all places, at home. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God gives you. It is the hinge of the whole list, the old teachers said. The first words are about loving God. The last words are about loving neighbor. And the fifth stands at the joint between them, where the God who gave you life meets the two people he gave it through. The word for honor in the old language is a word about weight, kabed. To honor someone is to give them weight, to treat them as substantial, as mattering. Small children honor by obeying. Grown children honor differently, with respect, with gratitude, with patience in the gray years, with a phone call, with a remembered kindness repaid in kind. In the ancient world, this command was also a shelter. There were no pensions in the wilderness, no safety nets. The fifth word built one out of love. The generation that once carried you does not get set aside when it can no longer produce. Egypt's arithmetic, where worth equals output, was banished from the family table forever. The old were to be treasured precisely when they had nothing left to give but themselves, because themselves was always the treasure. And it is, as the scriptures point out, the first commandment with a promise attached, that your days may be long in the land. There is a wisdom in that promise that anyone can see. A people who honor their elders keep their roots, and a tree with deep roots stands through long weather. Gratitude, it turns out, is a kind of architecture. It holds things up. Now, a gentle honesty, because the scriptures themselves are honest. Some who hear this word carry wounds from the very people it names, and the Bible never asks the wounded to pretend. Honor is not pretending. Sometimes honor means truthful, careful, boundaried respect for what a parent should have been, while grieving what they were. Sometimes the deepest honor is to break a painful pattern rather than pass it down. If that is your story, you can rest tonight too. The command was given by a Father whose love does not fail, and He knows exactly what you carried and how far you have carried it. And for all of us, the fifth word settles into something simple and warm at the end of a day. We were carried before we could walk. Someone fed us before we knew the word for bread. Love, in this world, gets handed down the generations like a lamp, and honor is just the act of receiving it with both hands and passing it on a little brighter. Somewhere back down your own family line, however tangled the line may be, someone prayed by a bedside. Someone worked a long day, and then another, so a child could have what they never had. Someone told the old stories at a table, or sang something soft in a kitchen, and did not know they were being remembered, and were remembered anyway, for 50 years, for 80, for longer than their own name lasted. That is what the fifth word is guarding. Not just parents and children, but the whole long relay of care that carried the world to your doorstep. Every generation receives more than it can ever repay, and the Scriptures do not ask us to repay it, only to honor it, to give it weight, to let gratitude have a seat at the table. And if tonight you find yourself on the far side of that relay, more often the carrier now than the carried, be gentle with yourself too. Carrying is tiring, and the God who commanded honor for the old sees the ones doing the honoring, the quiet visits, the patience, the gray-year faithfulness that no one applauds. He sees it the way He sees everything done in secret, kindly and completely. In the evenings, in those old towns, the elders would sit in the shade of the city gate as the day cooled, white-headed, unhurried, and the town would flow past them and slow a little as it did. Young men brought them questions. Children were sent to them with bread. Their memories held the town's whole story. Who had planted which tree? Which well went dry the hard year? What the town had promised, and to whom? No one measured their output. Their presence was the treasure. Their long faithfulness, the town's deep root. The fifth word built that shade at the gate, and every home that keeps some version of it, a chair kept, a story asked for, a weight given, is keeping Sinai without knowing it. In the evenings, in those old towns, the elders would sit in the shade of the city gate as the day cooled, white-headed, unhurried, and the town would flow past them and slow a little as it did. Young men brought them questions. Children were sent to them with bread. Their memories held the town's whole story. Who had planted which tree? Which well went dry the hard year? What the town had promised, and to whom? No one measured their output. Their presence was the treasure. Their long faithfulness, the town's deep root. The fifth word built that shade at the gate, and every society that has kept some version of it has been the gentler for it. And every home that keeps some version of it, a chair kept, a story asked for, a weight given, is keeping Sinai without knowing it. From Exodus chapter 20. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God gives you. And from Psalm 103, the Psalm of the Father's compassion. Like a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. For he knows how we are made. He remembers that we are dust. As for man, his days are like grass. As a flower of the field, so he flourishes. But the Lord's loving kindness is from everlasting to everlasting with those who fear him, his righteousness to children's children. Praise the Lord, my soul, and don't forget all his benefits, who forgives all your sins, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies. He has not dealt with us according to our sins, nor repaid us for our iniquities. For as the heavens are high above the earth, so great is his loving kindness toward those who fear him. Psalm 103. So the fifth word, give weight to the ones who carried you. Let gratitude hold the house up, and rest tonight in the compassion of the Father who knows how you are made, and remembers that you are dust, and is gentle with you because of it, not in spite of it. The next two words are the shortest in the whole list. In the old language, they are only 2 words each, small as doorposts. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. They guard the 2 most precious trusts one human being ever holds of another: a neighbor's life and a marriage's faithfulness. And though they are commands, Underneath them both is a compliment, the highest compliment ever paid to human beings. Here is the compliment. Long before Sinai, at the very beginning of everything, the scriptures say that God made mankind in His own image. Every person you have ever met carries that image, like a watermark in fine paper, like a family resemblance that no hardship can wash out. That is why life is guarded by heaven. To honor a human life is to honor the artist who made it. The sixth word is not first a prohibition. It is first a declaration of worth. Yours included. Especially, tonight, yours. And the seventh word guards something almost as old. Before there were nations, before there was law, before there was anything else at all, the scriptures say a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two become one flesh. Marriage is older than Sinai. The command is simply a fence around a garden that was planted in Eden. Faithfulness guarding what faithfulness built. Many centuries later, on a green hillside in Galilee, Jesus sat down and taught about these very words, and He did it in the gentlest, deepest way. The commands, He said, were never only about the hands, they were always about the heart. Peace with your brother, not just the absence of violence. Faithfulness in the inner life, not just the outward one. Some people hear that teaching and feel the standard rising out of reach. But listen to what it really means. It means God cares about your inner life. The quiet rooms of the heart, where no one else can see, are not too small for Him to love, and not too far for Him to tend. He is a gardener of the inside. And so these two small words, resting quietly in the middle of the list, come to this. You are made in the image of God, and so is everyone you will meet tomorrow. Life is precious because of whose likeness it bears. Love is precious because of whose idea it was. And the heart, your heart, with everything it held today, the worry and the hope and the tiredness, is known all the way through by someone very kind. A gardener of the inside. Stay with that picture a moment, because it is the right one, and it is a restful one. A gardener does not shout at a garden. He does not stand over it demanding that it flower by morning. He works slowly, season by season, kneeling, patient with the soil, patient with the weather, pulling a little here, watering a little there, and mostly, simply tending, keeping at it, coming back every day. That is how God tends a heart, the scriptures say, not with a whip, but with water, not by force, but by faithfulness. The sixth and seventh words mark out the garden walls, life inside, love inside, and then the gardener goes to work inside those walls, gently, for a whole lifetime. And he is very good at his work, and he is never in a hurry, and he does not give up on gardens. So whatever grew in your heart today, the kind things and the weeds alike, you can leave the whole garden to Him tonight. Gardens do most of their growing in the dark, while the gardener keeps watch. Yours will too. And picture one more small scene, because Israel would have known it well. A lamp set in a window, burning through the night. In the old towns, that was how a household said to the dark, "Someone here is faithful. Someone keeps this house." Travelers steered by such windows. Children fell asleep by their light. Nothing about a lamp in a window is dramatic. It does not blaze. It does not shout. It simply does not go out. That is what guarded life and guarded love look like from outside. A steadiness you can steer by. And it is what the heart looks like from heaven when its keeper tends it. A small light kept burning in a window that is watched over all night long. And picture one more small scene, because Israel would have known it well. A lamp set in a window, burning through the night. In the old towns, that was how a household said to the dark, "Someone here is faithful. Someone keeps this house." Travelers steered by such windows. Children fell asleep by their light. Nothing about a lamp in a window is dramatic. It does not blaze. It does not shout. It simply does not go out. That is what guarded life and guarded love look like from outside. A steadiness you can steer by. And it is what the heart looks like from heaven when its keeper tends it. A small light kept burning in a window that is watched over all night long. From Exodus chapter 20. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. And from Psalm 139, the psalm of being fully known. Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. For you formed my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. If I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the dawn and settle in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will hold me. When I wake up, I am still with you. Psalm 139. So the sixth and seventh words: life, guarded, because it carries God's image. Love, guarded, because it was His idea first. And a heart, yours, fully known and gently tended. You search out my path and my lying down. Even your lying down, right now, is a path He knows. 3 words remain. There is still no hurry. By now, perhaps, your breathing has slowed, and the day has loosened its grip a little. If sleep is close, go to it. Everything left in this episode is gentle, and it ends in the greenest pasture in the whole Bible, and you do not need to be awake to lie down in it. Out in the camp, it is the deep middle of the night now. The mountain has gone quiet and dark, keeping its own counsel. A night wind moves between the tents, patient and cool. Somewhere a lamb stirs and settles. The keeper of Israel keeps on keeping. He is very good at it. He has never once lost a night's watch, in all the nights there have ever been. The 8th and 9th words guard the 2 quiet pillars that let neighbors live side by side in peace. What is yours, and what is true? You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Do not steal, at first, sounds like the simplest sentence in the world. But notice what it quietly affirms. If taking your neighbor's things is wrong, then your neighbor's things are truly his. The little field a family works. The wage a laborer earns at the end of a hot day. The scriptures take a tender interest in these things. The prophets, when they preached on this word, almost never aimed at the poor man's pocket. They aimed at rigged scales in the market, at wages held back overnight, at boundary stones moved in the dark. Heaven, it turns out, keeps very careful accounts on behalf of ordinary people. Your honest work is seen. Your fair dealing is seen. None of it is lost. And the 9th word guards the air a community breathes, which is truth. In the ancient world, a trial ran entirely on witnesses. No cameras, no records, just a neighbor's word about a neighbor. So a false witness was not merely a liar. He was a weapon. And the law answered him with perfect symmetry. Whatever penalty his lie sought for the innocent came back upon his own head. Truth-telling was that sacred, because trust is that fragile and that precious. The old teachers used to call truth the coin of society. Where words can be trusted, strangers can trade, neighbors can rest, doors can be left unbarred a little longer. Every honest word you spoke today, every plain, true, unglamorous sentence was a small brick in a peaceful city. It counted. It always counts. And there is a lovely picture near the front of the book of Psalms of the kind of person these two words are shaping. Psalm 15 asks, who gets to dwell close to God, in his tent, on his holy hill? And the answer is not the famous or the brilliant. It is the person who walks blamelessly and speaks truth in his heart, who keeps his word even when it costs him, who does no wrong to his neighbor. A quiet, trustworthy, ordinary life, the psalm says, is the very thing that lives closest to God. He who does these things, it ends, shall never be shaken. Never be shaken. Not because life never shakes, but because a life built on what is true is standing on rock all the way down. You can rest on that tonight. The truth does not need you to hold it up while you sleep. It holds you. And think, before we read, of all the small honesties your day actually held. The work done properly when no one was checking. The plain word given instead of the flattering one. The change counted back correctly. The promise kept even though keeping it cost you something. The tools returned. The credit shared. None of it made the news. All of it made the world, the real load-bearing world that people wake up into and trust without thinking. The scriptures say, heaven keeps those accounts with perfect care. Not the anxious way a taskmaster keeps accounts, but the delighted way a grandmother keeps drawings on a refrigerator door. Your honest, ordinary day is up on that door tonight. It was seen. It was enough. At dusk, in the old market towns, you could watch the 8th and 9th words close up shop for the night. Awnings rolled down, scales wiped clean and set level for morning. The day's coins counted into worn boxes, debts marked fairly in the ledger. A last customer's change counted twice, to be sure. Then the stall keepers walking home through streets going blue with evening, greeting one another by name, their word good, their weights true, the whole town resting easy on 10,000 small honesties, the way a roof rests easy on sound beams. No one ever wrote songs about level scales, but every peaceful street in the history of the world has been paved with them. At dusk, in the old market towns, you could watch the 8th and 9th words close up shop for the night. Awnings rolled down, scales wiped clean and set level for morning. The day's coins counted into worn boxes, debts marked fairly in the ledger. A last customer's change counted twice, to be sure. Then the stall keepers walking home through streets going blue with evening, greeting one another by name, their word good, their weights true, the whole town resting easy on 10,000 small honesties, the way a roof rests easy on sound beams. No one ever wrote songs about level scales, but every peaceful street in the history of the world has been paved with them. From Exodus chapter 20. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And now Psalm 15, whole and slow, the psalm of the trustworthy life. Lord, who shall dwell in your sanctuary? Who shall live on your holy hill? He who walks blamelessly and does what is right and speaks truth in his heart. He who doesn't slander with his tongue, nor does evil to his friend, nor casts slurs against his fellow man. He who keeps an oath even when it hurts and doesn't change. He who doesn't lend out his money for usury, nor take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be shaken. Psalm 15. So the 8th and 9th words. What is yours, honored? What is true, kept? A quiet life of honest work and plain words, and the promise laid over it like a blanket. He who does these things shall never be shaken. And now, the last of the 10 words. It is different from all the others, and it was placed last on purpose, like the final stone that locks an arch. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Every other command governs something that can be seen: a carved image, a spoken name, a kept day, a deed done or not done. But the 10th word steps quietly inside, into the one room no other law in the ancient world ever entered: the human heart and its wanting. No court can try coveting. No neighbor can witness it, which tells you something lovely about the lawgiver. Only a God who sees the heart would bother writing a law for it, and only a God who loves the heart would want it free. because that is what this last word is really about: freedom. Coveting is a heavy way to live. It is the settled habit of looking over the fence, measuring your life against your neighbor's, and concluding, again and again, that you have been given the wrong one. It keeps a person's eyes always on what is missing, so that the good things actually in their hands grow invisible. It is, quite literally, a way of never being home. And the 10th word gently closes the gate on all of that. Not to deprive you, to return you, to bring your eyes back over your own fence, to your own table, your own lamp, your own people, your own portion, which was measured out, the psalmist says, by hands that love you. There is a psalm that sounds like a person who has finally learned this, and we will hear it in a moment. It is only 3 verses long, and it was written by David, a man who had spent years wanting things and chasing things. In it he says, I have calmed and quieted my soul, like a weaned child with his mother. A weaned child, not an infant crying for what it needs, but a child old enough to sit on its mother's lap, wanting nothing at all, content just to be there, just to be held. That is where the 10 words have been leading this whole time. Not to a scorecard, to a lap. From a rescue, through rest, through honor and truth, down at last to a quiet heart, weaned of its wanting, held by its maker, needing nothing more tonight than what it already has. Contentment is not having everything you want. It is wanting what you have been given, and trusting the giver with the rest. And for tonight, what you have been given is enough. A bed, this breath, and the next one. A keeper who does not sleep. It is enough. You are allowed to be a weaned child now. The wanting can wait outside the door until morning, and most of it will have wandered off by then. It usually does. There is a small evening practice, as old as the Psalms themselves, that fits this last word perfectly, and you can do it lying exactly where you are, with your eyes closed. It is simply this: let your mind walk slowly through what you already have, not what is missing, what is here. A roof holding off the weather, a bed that carries your whole weight without complaint, the particular, ordinary miracle of your next breath, arriving on time like every breath before it. People who came to mind just now, unbidden, whose faces are their own kind of wealth. A day finished, a night provided, a keeper awake. The lines have fallen to me in pleasant places, the psalm says. Some nights that is easy to believe, and some nights it is work. And on the work nights, the psalm believes it for you, the way a railing holds a tired walker. Lean on it. It has held up better people than us, on worse nights than this, for 3,000 years, and it has never once given way. The 10th word keeps one last gift for the very end of the day, and it is this: enough is a place, and you can lie down in it. Not someday, when the wanting is finally satisfied. The wanting is never finally satisfied. That is its nature and its trick. But now, tonight, by the simple turning of the eyes homeward, the table is cleared, the door is shut. The people you love are who they are, and they are yours, and you are theirs. The day gave what it gave, and over the whole small kingdom of your actual life, the real one, not the imagined one over the fence, there is a keeper posted who values it more than you do and guards it while you sleep. The 10th word keeps one last gift for the very end of the day, and it is this: enough is a place, and you can lie down in it. Not someday, when the wanting is finally satisfied. The wanting is never finally satisfied. That is its nature and its trick. But now, tonight, by the simple turning of the eyes homeward, the table is cleared, the door is shut. The people you love are who they are, and they are yours, and you are theirs. The day gave what it gave, and over the whole small kingdom of your actual life, the real one, not the imagined one over the fence, there is a keeper posted who values it more than you do and guards it while you sleep. From Exodus chapter 20. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, nor anything that is your neighbor's. From Psalm 16. The Lord assigned my portion and my cup. You made my lot secure. The lines have fallen to me in pleasant places. Yes, I have a good inheritance. And now Psalm 131, all of it. The smallest and quietest psalm. Breathe slowly through this one. Lord, my heart isn't arrogant, nor my eyes lofty, nor do I concern myself with great matters, or things too wonderful for me. Surely I have stilled and quieted my soul, like a weaned child with his mother. Like a weaned child is my soul within me. Israel, hope in the Lord, from this time forward and forevermore. Psalm 131. So the 10th word, the last stone in the arch, a quiet heart, a soul calmed and quieted, like a child on its mother's lap. Your portion was assigned by hands that love you, and the lines have fallen in pleasant places, even on the days it is hard to see. Tonight you don't have to see it. You only have to rest in it. And so the 10 words are spoken, and the mountain grows quiet. Let's stand back one last time and see them all together, the way you might look at a house by lamplight before going up to bed. One God, and all your trust in one safe place. No small copies of Him, because He is too big to carve and too loyal to lose. His name, carried gently, placed on you like a blessing. His rest, remembered, commanded, given like bread. Your father and mother, given their weight. Life, guarded, because it bears His image. Love, guarded, because it was His idea. What is yours, honored. What is true, kept. And at the end, deepest of all, a quiet heart, weaned of its wanting. The 2 stone tablets were carried down the mountain, and Israel was told exactly where to keep them. Inside the Ark of the Covenant, the most precious box in the world. And over the tablets was set a lid of pure gold, and the lid had a name: the Mercy Seat. Think of that architecture, slowly. The law lay underneath. The mercy lay on top. Wherever Israel walked, all those wilderness years, they carried both together. The words that told the truth about life, covered over by the gold that told the truth about God. The commandments never traveled alone. They traveled under mercy. They still do. So if any of the 10 words touched a tender place tonight, let the gold lid settle over it now. The same God who spoke from the mountain is the God who designed the mercy seat, and He designed it first in His heart, before the mountain ever smoked. You are not going to sleep under a scorecard. You are going to sleep under mercy. The ark went ahead of Israel all their wilderness years, carried on poles, covered from the sun, the tablets riding in the dark beneath the gold. Through the deep sands, across the dry riverbeds, up the long stony climbs, mercy over law, law under mercy, 40 years of walking, and the arrangement never once reversed. When they camped, it rested in the innermost tent, in the quietest place in the whole camp, and the cloud of God's presence settled over it like dusk settling over a valley. The quietest place in the camp, and the safest, and that is where the words lived. It is where they still live. And tonight, it is where you live too, in the quietest place, in the innermost tent, under the settled cloud of a presence that is not going anywhere before morning. The ark went ahead of Israel all their wilderness years, carried on poles, covered from the sun, the tablets riding in the dark beneath the gold, through the deep sands, across the dry riverbeds, up the long stony climbs, mercy over law, law under mercy, 40 years of walking, and the arrangement never once reversed. When they camped, it rested in the innermost tent, in the quietest place in the whole camp, and the cloud of God's presence settled over it like dusk settling over a valley. The quietest place in the camp, and the safest, and that is where the words lived. It is where they still live. And tonight, it is where you live too, in the quietest place, in the innermost tent, under the settled cloud of a presence that is not going anywhere before morning. 2 more readings now, before the shepherd's psalm carries you the rest of the way. First, the psalm of shelter, the one Israel has whispered at bedtime for 100 generations. From Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. He will cover you with His feathers. Under His wings you will take refuge. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, for He will put His angels in charge of you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91. And a few verses from the great psalm of the words themselves, Psalm 119, for a nightlight. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. I have taken your testimonies as a heritage forever, for they are the joy of my heart. Let your loving kindness also come to me, Lord, your salvation, according to your word. My soul is continually in my hand, yet I won't forget your law. Psalm 119. And now, to carry you the rest of the way, the Shepherd's Psalm, the oldest lullaby in the book. There is nothing after this but the blessing, so you can let go completely now. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the Lord's house forever. Psalm 23. The fires in the camp are embers now. The mountain keeps its watch over the tents, and the keeper of Israel keeps his watch over you. And he will not slumber, and he will not sleep, so that you can do both. Whatever tomorrow holds, it will be held by the same hands that held today. You can leave it with them. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his face toward you and give you peace. Good night. Sleep well. He leads you beside still waters.